And the tone of their response about this particular petition, it reeks of animosity. And you understand why the pair are polling so poorly globally. I mean, it just sounded so bitter. Stay home with your kids.
Meghan Markle is reportedly upset, and tensions are rising after news spread that many Australian citizens signed a petition pushing back against her planned visit. But as critics keep pointing out, whenever there is money involved, Meghan is still stepping into the spotlight. Even with growing backlash and thousands of signatures calling for her to stay away, she is not backing down at all. Instead of canceling, she is responding directly to the criticism. And that reaction is only making the situation even louder and more intense. Now it is already April, and Meghan is getting ready to travel to Australia for a wellness-focused event hosted by her friend, Gamma O'Neill. Reports suggest that O'Neill herself may be dealing with financial pressure, which adds another layer to the story. And here is where things really start to turn heads. Ticket prices for this event are said to be extremely high, with attendees expected to spend thousands just to be there. On top of that, people may have to pay even more for group photos with Meghan and to hear her speak. Critics are already questioning whether the experience will actually match the price, saying the talks might not live up to the cost. Still, Meghan seems completely unfazed by all the noise. For her, this event looks like a major chance to grab back attention, bring in income, and rebuild the level of popularity that has reportedly been slipping in recent times. For Meghan, this trip reportedly looked like a real chance to rebuild both financially and in the public eye. But Australian citizens are pushing back hard, and they are not staying quiet about it. Many people across the country have made it clear they do not want any taxpayer money connected in any way to what they describe as two royals who stepped away from official duties. Because of these concerns, a petition quickly gained traction, with thousands signing and demanding that no government resources be used during Harry and Meghan's visit.
A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess has said, and this is where I don't think they're quite picking up what we're putting down, said, quote, "It's a moot point. The trip is being funded privately, so I'm not sure what this petition hopes to achieve."
That. First, reports suggest Meghan did not take the petition seriously at all. It was allegedly seen as just online chatter that would fade away. But once the signatures started climbing fast, the situation reportedly shifted in a big way. The growing support behind the petition is said to have caught her team off guard. And soon Meghan responded publicly in what many described as a defensive and frustrated tone. She made it clear that the trip was meant to be completely private, not funded by the government in any way. According to her statement, the event is privately organized and financed, and therefore should not involve taxpayers at all. Still, critics were not convinced. Many argued that this clarification only came after public pressure started building. Some believe the response was an attempt to regain control of the narrative once it became clear that public opinion was turning against the visit. Trying to calm things down, Meghan reportedly dismissed the petition as unnecessary, saying that if the trip is privately funded, then protesting it through petitions does not make sense. But what really got people talking was a statement from her spokesperson that sparked even more confusion and backlash. The argument suggested that since only a small portion of Australians signed the petition, the rest of the population must not have an issue with the visit. That logic quickly raised eyebrows, with many pointing out how unrealistic that assumption sounds. People online started reacting, saying that not signing a petition does not automatically mean support. Most people simply do not come across every petition, or they are busy with work, family, and everyday responsibilities. It does not mean they agree or disagree strongly, either way. The petition itself was launched by an advocacy group called Beyond Australia, and even the organizers admitted they were surprised.
I am beside myself about, because I have admired this woman and what she has endured, how she's risen above it, and how she has demonstrated how a woman can be pushed down and she can still rise. And that person is Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
By how suddenly the visit was announced. That unexpected timing only added more attention to the situation and pushed the conversation even further into the spotlight. According to organizers, this trip is being framed as fully commercial and private, not an official royal tour in any way. Because of that, they argue it should never be treated like one. But concerns are still growing fast. The group behind the petition warned that political figures or government representatives might still get involved in welcoming the couple, which could quietly lead to public spending anyway. And that is exactly what many Australians are worried about right now. Their argument is simple and direct. If Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, then public resources should not be used to support visits that look more like celebrity events than public service. That point has been repeated again and again as the petition continues gaining attention. Another big concern comes down to the current economic pressure people are facing. Across Australia, citizens are dealing with rising food prices, higher fuel costs, mortgage stress, and increasing energy bills. Because of that, many feel government focus should stay on helping everyday people, not on high-profile visits tied to private business events. For a lot of those signing the petition, this is not even about Meghan personally. It is about protecting public resources during a time when many households are already under serious financial strain. At the same time, people are remembering the couple's 2018 royal tour, which happened shortly after their wedding. Back then, the atmosphere was completely different. Harry and Meghan were welcomed with huge support and full royal treatment. They had police escorts, official accommodations, and large-scale security arrangements.
The issue you've got, as I intimated earlier, the couple need money, Caleb. They do have a few $1 million in the bank, but they're getting through the cash very quickly. They've got security costs. They've got a mortgage on that Montecito mansion. And the income is diminishing.
That reportedly came with significant costs. At that time, they were still active working members of the royal family, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive. Now, critics say the situation has clearly changed. Since stepping away from royal duties, they no longer represent the monarchy in an official role. Because of that, some Australians believe there could be an attempt to recreate that same level of attention and treatment from 2018. And that is exactly what petition supporters are trying to avoid. Security is one of the biggest unanswered questions right now, and it is adding even more tension to the situation. Reports suggest their personal security costs are extremely high. And with ongoing legal discussions around protection, people are questioning who will actually cover those expenses during the visit. That uncertainty has only fueled more backlash. Many fear that local or federal authorities could end up covering parts of the cost, even indirectly. And when officials were asked directly whether any government funds would be used, there were no clear answers given. That lack of clarity made things even worse and pushed more people to support the petition. Still, Meghan continues to insist that no public funding will be involved at all. Meanwhile, the wellness retreat itself is scheduled for April 17th to April 19th and is expected to host around 300 guests. The package reportedly includes VIP access, front row seating, exclusive sessions, and group photo opportunities with Meghan. Organizers say the event is already sold out, but new questions are starting to surface about whether everything is actually ready behind the scenes. Reports claim that maintenance work is still ongoing at the hotel hosting the event. The infinity pool is said to be unfinished. Spa areas and leisure docks are still being worked on.
That 36,000 brave souls, and I'm proud to say, as a patriotic Australian souls, have signed a petition calling for Harry and Meghan's tour of Australia to be deprived of all public funding.
And parts of the beachfront have reportedly been affected by environmental issues that are causing unpleasant conditions along sections of the coast. As the event date gets closer, the pressure surrounding this trip is only getting stronger, and the conversation is becoming impossible to ignore. What started as a simple wellness appearance has now turned into a full-blown public debate, with more people questioning not just the purpose of the visit, but the timing, the pricing, and the overall message it sends. Many critics are now asking a bigger question. Who exactly is this event really for? Because with ticket prices reportedly reaching into the thousands, it is clearly not designed for the average person. Instead, it appears to be targeting a much smaller, high-paying audience willing to spend heavily for access and proximity. That alone has raised concerns, especially when the event is being promoted under the idea of wellness and personal growth. Some people feel that messaging does not match the reality, arguing that true wellness should be accessible, not something locked behind extremely high price points. And that disconnect is what continues to drive frustration. On one side, you have a message centered around healing, balance, and positivity. On the other side, you have premium packages, VIP access, and exclusive experiences that only a limited number of people can afford. At the same time, others are looking at the bigger picture and questioning the overall strategy behind this appearance. For Meghan, this event is being seen as an important step toward rebuilding her public image and maintaining relevance in a space that is becoming more competitive every year. public attention shifts quickly, and staying visible requires constant engagement. Events like this offer a direct way to reconnect with audiences, generate headlines, and create new opportunities. But when controversy follows closely behind,
Harry and Meghan Markle have criticised an online petition ahead of their trip to Australia next month. More than 35,000 people have signed the form saying security and logistics for the pair's tour should not be taxpayer funded. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex responded.
that attention can quickly turn into criticism instead. And that is exactly what seems to be happening here. Every new detail about the event is being examined, discussed, and debated across social media and public forums. Even the partnership with Gamma O'Neill is being analyzed more closely now. Some reports suggest that this collaboration could be mutually beneficial, with both sides potentially gaining exposure and financial support through the event. But critics are questioning whether the focus is truly on wellness or more on business opportunities. Another layer to this situation is how quickly public perception can shift. Just a few years ago, Meghan's appearances often attracted strong support and curiosity. Now, reactions appear far more divided, with growing skepticism from certain audiences. That shift does not happen overnight. It builds over time through repeated headlines, public statements, and changing expectations. And once that shift begins, it becomes much harder to control the narrative. At the same time, supporters argue that Meghan has every right to host private events, build her brand, and pursue new ventures. From that perspective, this trip is simply another step in her post-royal career, and the criticism may be seen as excessive or unfair. But critics see it differently. They believe that when public figures operate at this level of visibility, their actions naturally come under closer scrutiny, especially when there are questions about public resources, messaging, and timing. And right now, timing is a huge factor. With economic pressures affecting so many households, any event associated with high costs and exclusivity is likely to draw stronger reactions. It creates a contrast that people find hard to ignore. Then there is the issue of expectations.
Poorly globally. I mean, it just sounded so bitter. Stay home with your kids. It doesn't sound like
When an event is marketed as premium, people expect everything to be flawless. But with reports of unfinished facilities and ongoing construction at the venue, some are starting to question whether the experience will meet those expectations. That uncertainty is adding even more tension. Because if guests are paying top-tier prices, they expect a top-tier environment. Anything less could quickly turn into another wave of criticism. And let's not forget how fast information spreads today. Every update, every photo, every behind-the-scenes detail can go viral within minutes. That means even small issues can quickly become major talking points. All of this puts Meghan in a very difficult position. On one hand, this event represents an opportunity to reconnect with audiences and strengthen her brand. On the other hand, the level of scrutiny is higher than ever, and every move is being watched closely. The bigger question now is whether this trip will help improve her public standing or create even more challenges moving forward. Because once a narrative starts building, it can be very hard to shift it back. And right now, the narrative is still unfolding in real time. Supporters, critics, and observers are all watching closely, waiting to see how everything plays out once the event actually begins. Because at the end of the day, it is not just about the event itself, it is about perception, timing, and how everything comes together under the spotlight. And with so many questions still unanswered, one thing is clear. This story is far from over, and what happens next could shape how this entire situation is remembered. Critics have even started joking that some guests might end up attending a luxury wellness retreat while trying to ignore the surroundings, all for the chance to take a single photo with Meghan. It sounds dramatic, but that kind of reaction shows just how intense and emotional the conversation around this event has become. What was originally introduced as a calm, high-end wellness experience has now turned into something much bigger.
Wags have started up this petition. They're saying, we don't want you here, but the petition demands that no taxpayer funding or official support is provided for Harry and Meghan's private visit to Australia.
It is no longer just about relaxation, mindfulness, or personal growth. Now it is about perception, expectations, and whether the entire concept matches the reality being presented. People are looking at every detail. The ticket prices, the exclusivity, the reports about unfinished parts of the venue, and the broader message behind the event. And for many, those pieces are not lining up the way they expected. On one side, there is the promise of balance, healing, and positive energy. On the other side, there are premium packages, VIP access, and experiences that only a small group of people can realistically afford. That contrast is what continues to drive so much discussion. And then there is the environment itself. Reports about ongoing maintenance, incomplete amenities, and less than perfect conditions have only added more attention to the situation. Because when people are paying high-end prices, they expect everything to be flawless. Anything less immediately becomes a talking point. Despite all of this, Meghan has reportedly made it clear that she is still attending the event. And that decision has become one of the biggest focal points of the entire story. For some, it shows determination. It sends a message that she is not backing down, not canceling, and not letting public pressure dictate her decisions. In a world where public figures often step away when criticism rises, continuing forward can be seen as a sign of confidence. Supporters argue that backing out now would create even more negative headlines. It could be interpreted as an admission that something is wrong. By showing up, she maintains control of the narrative and follows through on her commitment. But critics see a completely different picture. They believe continuing with the event, despite the concerns, only increases the pressure and keeps the controversy alive. To them, it raises questions about priorities and whether financial opportunities are taking center stage over public perception.
I mean, you can't get more sort of out of touch or out of tune with how Australia is than to think, oh, I'm going to stand up for women's rights and talk about my plight and my fight for freedom with Jackie O. It's so unserious. It is so unserious. And I used to have maybe a shred of respect for them now.
Meghan also took a trip to the Sydney Opera House, where thousands of well-wishers gathered to meet the couple. The Duke and Duchess made special time for one royal enthusiast, who's now met the prince 3 times.
And this is where the situation becomes more complicated, because both perspectives exist at the same time, and neither side is backing down. Another major factor is timing. Right now, many people are dealing with rising costs of living, financial stress, and economic uncertainty. In that kind of environment, any event associated with high prices and exclusivity is going to stand out. It creates a contrast that is hard to ignore. While some are focusing on budgeting and daily expenses, others are being invited to attend premium retreats with VIP perks. That gap is what fuels a lot of the emotional response. At the same time, public figures like Meghan operate in a completely different space. Their careers often depend on visibility, branding, and creating experiences that attract attention. Events like this are part of that system. So from that perspective, this is not unusual. It is a business move, a branding opportunity, and a way to stay relevant in a fast-moving media environment. But when those two realities collide, public reaction becomes unpredictable. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. There is also the question of expectations. When something is marketed as premium, people expect a premium result. Every detail matters. The location, the experience, the atmosphere. Everything has to match the promise. If it does, the event can be seen as a success. But if it falls short, even in small ways, it can quickly turn into criticism. And because of how connected everything is,
to his publicly funded security arrangements. This following his decision to step down from royal duties with his wife Meghan. Harry had sought to overturn a decision that would take away his automatic personal police security while in Britain. The High Court in London.
So they're basically going there probably and the pay of the people who've developed the wellness centre to bring some publicity to the wellness centre so they can do some business. I bet you that's...
Today, those reactions spread fast. Social media plays a huge role in this. Every guest, every post, every behind-the-scenes moment has the potential to go viral. That means the event is not just happening in one location. It is happening online in real time for the entire world to see. That level of exposure raises the stakes even higher. Because once something is out there, it cannot be taken back. First impressions can shape the entire narrative moving forward. And right now, the narrative is still being written. Some people are waiting to see if the event will exceed expectations and shift the conversation in a positive direction. Others are expecting more issues to surface and confirm their concerns. Another layer to this is long-term impact. This is not just about one weekend. It is about how this moment fits into a larger story. Public image is built over time through consistent actions and decisions. One event will not define everything, but it can influence the direction of future opportunities. If this goes well, it could open the door to more events, more partnerships, and more visibility. But if it does not, it could make things more challenging moving forward. And that is why the situation feels so important right now, because it is not just about what is happening, It is about what it could lead to next. There is also the ongoing discussion about authenticity. When public figures promote certain values, people expect those values to be reflected in their actions. If there is a mismatch, it becomes a point of criticism. In this case, the focus on wellness is being compared to the exclusivity of the event. Some feel those two ideas do not fully align. Others believe that premium experiences are simply part of the industry.
Healing, dinners by the pool, a disco night. Okay, here's what's really going on at the Intercontinental. It is under extensive renovations. The swimming facility, which I'm going to guess includes the pool. These fancy words. Swimming facility, it's a pool. Spa, leisure deck.
Again, it comes down to perspective, and right now there are many different perspectives all happening at once. At the center of all of this is Meghan herself. Every statement, every decision, every appearance is being analyzed in detail. The level of attention is intense, and it does not slow down. That kind of environment makes it very difficult to control how things are perceived. Even when intentions are clear, public reaction can still vary widely. And that brings us back to the original question. Is this event a smart move or a risky one? Some see it as a necessary step forward, a chance to reconnect, rebuild, and move ahead with confidence. Others see it as a situation that could create more challenges if expectations are not met. There is no simple answer, and that is what makes this story so interesting. It is not one-sided. It is not predictable. It is unfolding in real time. As the event approaches, all eyes will be on what actually happens. Not just what is promised, but what is delivered. Because in the end, that is what will shape the final outcome. Not the rumors, not the speculation, but the real experience. Will guests leave feeling inspired and satisfied? Will the event match the image being presented? Or will it raise even more questions? Those answers are coming soon, and they will likely define how this entire situation is remembered. So now it is your turn to weigh in. What do you think about Meghan Markle's response to Australian citizens who signed the petition against her visit? Is she standing her ground and doing what she believes is right? Or are people justified in questioning the purpose and timing of this trip? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss what comes next. See you in the next one.